IG versus World Elite. IG starting to become the runaway leaders of this, and World Elite hanging in there around 50%. They're up to 8 and 7 now. Again, I always describe them this way, and it's always unfair as kind of the plodders, the people to beat. They're going to go 50%. Everybody else needs to work around that. But a chance to get out of that range, 9 and 7 would put them in a really good spot for the top 4 places, which will get them to the Gold Club World Cup and put them high up in the league as well. There are 13 weeks, I believe, not the 9 I originally claimed, the other 4 weeks being effectively Season 2. As I currently understand it, I do realise it's a bit frustrating having the casters sometimes not know how things work, but I'm learning as you are learning. I'm relaying everything I find out, and sometimes I either get it wrong or find out the wrong thing. Probably the former, I'm not going to lie, but getting information is not impossible by any means, but sometimes I don't know what information I'm looking for, and sometimes I misinterpret things that I'm told. Right, let's have a look at the lineups today. Yuyi, Demon Hunter banned out. He's got the Warrior, Druid and Rogue. XC has got his Warrior banned out. He's got the Demon Hunter, his Druid and Mage. So Rogue and Mage, the differences, 2 classes we haven't seen much of in the last week or two. Certainly not much Mage. Rogue's been reasonably popular during this tournament in general, but has taken a dip in recent times. I'm not quite sure why either. It's fine as a class. But good queue here from Yuyi, and also won the bans. I feel that this Warrior is favoured against all 3 decks here for XC. Let me just have a quick look. I believe it's the no dragon variant as well, so big favoured against the Druid, massive favoured against the Demon Hunter, and pretty big favourite against the Mage. This could just be a sweep for Yuyi here. Would not surprise me at all. That being said, he's not established a massive amount of damage, although double Skipper and double Bomb Wrangler now is saying that that might well change. But XC is ready to go next turn with Mount Seller. Plenty of stuff going on there. The Bog Beam will get rid of the Cork on Elite. Coin, Crystal Power is fine. Loads of things ready to go. Establishing a Bomb Wrangler and saving back the Sky Raider so he can do 3 damage with, or 4 damage with the double Risky Skippers if things are correctly done. With 6 mana, that is correct. You go Skipper, then you play the Sky Raider. Then you play a Skipper. No, you don't. Trying to work out how you keep the Sky Raider alive through multiple bombs. Anyway, either way, it does allow 3 activations, and with Bomb Wrangler out already and another Bomb Wrangler in hand, there is a lot of damage could be output here by Yuyi. And actually, XC's got an interesting decision here. It looks straightforward, just to blow up the Cork on Elite, why wouldn't you? But the more you look at it, the more it's really tempting and possibly correct to just take out the Bomb Wrangler. I'm going quiet because that's a really weird attack. It might be correct, but I don't know how we can have that read for it to be correct. He has actually managed to deny a bomb from Yuyi, the way he played it, but I don't know. The weird thing with commentating on XC, especially solo casting, so I've got nobody to bounce ideas off, is that he is really good at Hearthstone, but he sometimes makes incredibly bad mistakes. So normally if I'm casting a Sif or somebody, I just say, yeah, he's right, I'm wrong, aren't I, silly lol. With XC, he's usually right, like a massive percentage of the time, but sometimes he has actually just made a strange decision. And that one looked like a strange decision to me that last turn. People out there watching, oh no, poor caster's going to have to get off the fence. You're right. It's a good call. I'll let you have that opinion. Well, does get the Zigzor Prime, and Yuyi, is he just trying to get the world's biggest battle rage? Is that really necessary? I forget who it was, but many weeks ago, like week 2 or week 3, somebody did this. It might have been Kylin, because I pick on Kylin quite hard, even though he's done very little wrong when I go through my own VODs. And against Druid, fiddling around like this doesn't get you there. Yuyi hasn't had the most amazing hand, but it's been reasonable. Lack of weapon makes things awkward. But I'd have been really tempted just to get some Bomb Wrangler action going, try and draw 1 or 2 cards, and just get on with it. All this fiddling is just giving XC time to get into the game. Yuyi's done very little damage. Here's some damage though. 12/7's pretty annoying to deal with, but XC's going to Glowfly and Soul of the Forest most likely here. Oh, even better. Yeah, he doesn't need to mess around. I forgot he has these. This is fine. And I understand that Yuyi's trying to keep back a risky skipper for Glowflies, which means he wasted his first skipper somewhat. I don't know. This game has felt a little bit wacky to me. I haven't played Warrior for a week or two. Maybe I'm just out of touch with reality. Here's all the cards. This is the payoff for what he's been doing. Like the big card draw. I remember who it was now. It was in... I don't remember who it was. I remember where it was. It was in Masters Tour APAC. Somebody did this. Possibly dead draw against Druid, and all the extra cards destroyed the Druid, to be fair. But this is the downside of what Yuyi has done here. And I remember saying I didn't like it at the time of that other one, even though it turned out very, very well. I think it was for dead draw. If you take your time, get lots of cards, that's fine. But Druids, when they get to 10 mana, when they get to 7 mana really, 7 mana at the start of their turn with a Mount Seller on board or with stuff on board. Look at all the damage he's got lined up here. I can't even work it out, it's too much. This is one where Sottle says don't count it. I think there's 26 on the board with double Savage Roar and the backup plan of Soul of the Forest on every minion. So 44 is going to be, no, not 44 for much longer. Is that actually lethal? It is, right? Like, Savage Roar's 14, because it's 7 2s. There's 2 Savage Roars, that's 28. What did I say there was on the board? 26? That's 54 damage. It's 10 over lethal. Your Blade Storm does not work here, sir. Have you got something else? Because we can't take that as payment. No, I have no idea what this turn was. Well, it's not really this one, it's the ones leading up. But double Savage Roar and XC is off to a 1-0 start. And this warrior, I think, was favoured in all 3 scenarios. Is gone. Dunzo. No more warrior for you. Yuyi's going to have to get it done with his Druid and with his rogue. And suddenly, a really favourable looking matchup has gone a bit wobbly. Yuyi has the legendary skull there, you see, as an achievement. We now know that is, he has beaten 7 different classes during the tournament. So, a player of all trades is the implication there. I do enjoy the different stats that China put forth. When you see the Gold Club Team Cup, Gold Club World Cup, you'll see that the rest of world casters were asked for their opinions on the rest of world players, and that has led to some pretty good talking point graphics as well. XC ramping up into the rogue, and it's the rogue's job to deliver the damage before it gets overwhelmed. It is simple. And looking pretty good for Yuyi. He has all the cards that make damage happen. The interesting point of discussion will be how to get a Togwaggle maybe active next turn. But he's going to have to wait till turn 6 because it's so important to get this ginormous questing and all this attack that goes with it. It's exactly what I was talking about. Get all those attack points on the board and just trash the Druid. Guess what? It's Mount Seller o'clock. And he does have the mana available if you count his hero power to take down this questing. Which is a pretty miserable time for Yuyi, as you can see there. Now, you'd love a charge minion here, that would make his life a little bit easier, Griffin. But doesn't get one, has to just settle for only this massive board. But that should mean that Yuyi can clear it. 1/4 is a really annoying shape here. You really don't want to have to... You can actually hero power. There's the Rush Lackey. Rush Lackey gives you a 4/4 Sage. That takes down the 1/4. Then you can backstab, eviscerate the Mount Seller, which does 6 damage. So you can put in your Skyvateer. Yuyi sees the lines differently to me. It's going to be the same outcome. But doesn't develop the Lackey. This is absolutely fine. This is really nice. But yeah, Ysera and Owl trades into Overflow. Really, I'm trying to provide a super in-depth, amazing coaching analysis for the viewers here. But honestly, this has played itself from XC. Every turn has been pretty straightforward. Not so much Yuyi's side of it. Maybe I could provide an interesting, powerful analysis of what he's doing. But what's going to happen here is XC is going to play one of the overflows in his hand and try and get some dragon portals. There you go. How do you like that? But you didn't expect that bit of commentary, did you? He's going to need some of the 12 health minions as well. I was going to start with that. Not so important that he gets 12 12s. You know, 4 12s, fine. 8 8s are alright too. But actually that was... I mean, this is the good position he's in, right? That was basically a whiff. And he's still come out of it okay. Although Yuyi does get Togwaggle next turn. And because XC hasn't connected face yet, I think Yuyi might be well advised to just eat the 12 damage and do some Togwaggleizing here. Yep. I like the way he paused there when he got the unusual roll off the evolve. Trying to work out if this 3 damage was good or not into the 12 12. Technically, he should have done that before Togwaggle, because if he's trading, he'd have a card to look at. But honestly, even though people like to scream bad ordering there, and technically it is, you're always playing the Togwaggle, so it just doesn't matter. XC, not tempted by the greedy 12 to the face, still trying to get some sort of board control. He knows there might be a bit of a problem coming next turn, so he's just preparing his board for that. And this looks fine. Stop it! Oh my. How silly. Buffing them all up as well, why not? Going to Moonfire the 1/1. I don't think there's going to be any space in this book. Well, okay, hear me out here. I feel like you only lose this if this board is decimated. The 1/1's not going to decimate your board. I guess if it's bounced back to hand and it evolves Tog, maybe it is. And it's good with the faces. Okay, that's good from XC then. I was thinking the 1 damage isn't good, but the Faceless Corruptor is actually much worse now that XC has killed the 1/1. I was going to say that if the board is cleared, then he needs that Moonfire for the Mount Seller, but this is just better. And it's worked for him, which is good because it means I get to see why he did it. Well, this is a nonsense looking turn, but as of yet, no questing and no Edwin. Like, XC's looking sad because he was waiting for the Edwin there. And now he's looking happy because it's a Miscreant, which is not an Edwin. And the fact it's not an Edwin is really, really good news for XC. And now it's just funny for him. How many actions has Yuyi done this turn? I feel like this turn has just been going on for like half an hour or something. But the turn does come to a conclusion. XC picks up the second Savage Roar. It means I don't have to do any counting. I think 1 was probably enough. 18. Yeah, it was. But this is definitely enough. And XC is 2-0 up. And we've already seen Blue demolish Trunks 3-0 in 20 minutes earlier today. Is XC going to do the same to Yuyi with his Druid too? I feel that in Grandmasters, Druid just wasn't that amazing. It was good. And in APAC, maybe even very good. But it didn't seem that great. But that was Conquest. In Last Hero, it just seems to have the power of when it's got through its bad matchup, it's unstoppable. I do, however, fractionally prefer Yuyi in this one. Especially now he's picked up the dragon needed for this. He's played the dragon variant against the spell variant. Getting your spells down early, your glowflies down early, I guess I mean to say, is obviously hugely important. But the dragons just provide that little tiny bit of extra defense. And XC is losing the race for mana. Yuyi. Do you Moonfire your opponent's face here? And then Overflow. But Yuyi's smarter than that, he just gets something on the board. I think that's right. I don't know. If you just forget this exists, Moonfire Face, or Overflow, then Moonfire Face. Interesting. Anyway, Yuyi is first on the board, and XC is doing nothing. He's just like a sitting target at the moment, honestly. He has the capability for some absolutely humongous turns, with a coin and double innovate in hand, to go with the Mount Sellers. But look what Yuyi's doing. Yuyi is just making stuff happen already. Isira's coming next turn. And XC is off the board. He's got to have a little look at whether he can play a Mount Seller here, but there's no point. Maybe next turn he could. I think next turn he should, in fact, play a Mount Seller. But I think for this turn he has to just take it, because otherwise he's going to lose both of his Mount Sellers for very little game, just to stay alive. And then he doesn't have a game. So, horribly for him, I think he does nothing here. Maybe make a 3-2 Power Wild token. He's going face, I don't like that. I guess if there's an Overflow it makes more sense. Yeah, it's actually super good. Because Overflow would heal up the damage, but it doesn't heal up the armour. And Yuyi's like, well, if you're not going to play anything, I'm just going to play a stupid Onyxia. And make you do something. Oh, wow. Don't know what happened there. XE conceded happened. I don't know why he suddenly changed halfway through the turn. Was there lethal on board? I mean, it must have been close. Or did he just realise that what he was doing wasn't going to work? Because it could have mount cellared. Anyway, now he has his Demon Hunter. And an incredibly good chance now to close out the match. Demon Hunters massacred Druids. I played this matchup a lot at this point in the meta. And it's just the best matchup. It's lovely. So you hit the Druid. The thing that the Druid has to do is kill everything you play, and we're seeing that now. I'm mentioning it because there's another Crystal Power next turn. But the problem is the Druid ends up low on cards if it does that, and then the Glowflies become useless, or the Mount Sellers become useless, and the Demon Hunter just keeps playing more and more stuff. And so the game works out very differently to usual, where the Demon Hunter gets a load of stuff removed but then hits you back. But this is unpleasant for XC because he hasn't drawn a 3-drop, which is kind of impossible, and Yuyi's in the game. And Yuyi has a free turn with which to develop and a lot of decisions to make. This is the most straightforward play, and I think it's correct. There was the opportunity to play the Fungal right now, which would have drawn obviously a lot of cards, and then next turn coin out Glowflies. The way he's chosen to go about it, these Glowflies are going to be 4 at most, so he's now doing it even slower. And that has now allowed XC to get into the meat of his deck. Note, by the way, that XE just played Altruis. Okay? This is something that a lot of newer players get wrong. It has a lot of really interesting text on it saying, do damage to minions for outcast cards. But sometimes you just need a minion on the board. You've got to start doing that damage against Druid. You will get into trouble once they get to their 7 mana turns and beyond. Demon Hunter has Kane. It has some good things to deal with Druid for a turn or two. Warglaves here is really good against a Mount Seller that has been Ironbarked. And what tends to happen is you have a board here and you force your way through with your Warglaves. But if that 4-2 is in hand, it's not doing 4 damage a turn. Now obviously it has been killed, but at least it's provided a speed bump of sorts for Yuyi, who isn't finding much to do. And I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen the Glowflies down. Because using up these weapon charges, even if your Glowflies die, is pretty beneficial. But you can see he hasn't got anywhere. He really needs a Mount Seller or a Sira. Otherwise, IG are going to go to 12 and 4. There are more games left than I first have implied over the last few broadcasts, and I'm sorry for that, but a 12 and 4 record would be looking very powerful indeed. Don't know exactly how they were early on, but I feel like they were maybe 6 and 4, maybe 5 and 3, that sort of order. They were definitely behind the 6 and 2 VK at one point. Yuyi scrambling to find something to do. At least he does pick up the dragon now. Oh, he can just drop a Sira. Now he Glowflies? Okay. I am not in a position to judge whether I think that was a good turn or not. I know that Druid normally here just gets a Sira out, but he's got Fungal in hand. It would have been pretty good for the Sira. mean, this is fine. The golden rule in Hearthstone is look at your hand at the start of your turn in the board state. And at the end of the turn, look at your hand again and look at the board state and see if you think it makes sense that you're in this position. It doesn't necessarily mean you played correctly, but it can mean that you played okay. And this board state, compared to where he started the turn and the cards he's got left, is definitely okay. Whether an Asura on the board would be better and then drop these after, I guess this is fine. If you play Asura and you get a load of dragons, you don't need these. Whereas this way around, the Asura dragons can fill in the gaps that inevitably get left as these get picked off. Alright, I've sold myself on the play. XC is just going face. I haven't checked any breakpoints, but my gut is that he could have taken one of these down, one of these minions. And Yuyi quite obviously had this in mind last turn. So was he... Yeah, I think what he might have been doing is actually trying to bait the Warglave's use so that he can now Ironbark up the Asura safely. As it happens, XC didn't use any Warglave's charges, but that would make sense. If you can get XC to use up the Warglaves on the 2/2s, and then just go, okay, now I have a 4-1 million Asura for you to get through. It's going to be lethal next turn if XC can't get through this. You see, they're playing at a really fast pace. I feel like I'm talking even faster and more gobbledygook than usual. And it's nearly 2-2 already. And with the Demon Hunter looking like it's going to go down here, it's going to come down to the Mage. Not dead yet. He can get through this. He can draw some more cards. This is a lot. My oh my, is this a big weapon, but I don't think he can get lethal. But he can get through the Asura and connect for chunky amounts of damage. Is he out of range with the taunt? Has he got this done? He needs to live to another turn. He hasn't got lethal now. Even though it feels like it. Choose to get some extra damage in which wasn't needed as opposed to playing the taunt. Would the taunt have mattered? 5, 9, 11, 13. No, it wouldn't. Okay. So he's saying, I only win if you haven't got Savage Draw. Show me the Savage Draw. And Yuyi shows him the Savage Draw. And it's 2 games apiece in a time span that it would take Bunny Hopper to play his first turn. And we are going to come down to Druid versus the Mage. So far today we have seen 7 games of Hearthstone. We saw Blue destroy Trunks 3-0 with... He didn't destroy Trunks, he destroyed Lee. 3-0 with Druid. We've seen 4 games of Druid here and the Druid has won them all. And if Yuyi can win this with a Druid, the only losing Druid will be at the mirror all day, and it will be 8 wins for Druids. And I've got to admit, I'm one of the people who says that I don't think Druid was very good. Which is why I'm talking about the game and not playing it, I guess. But it's not over yet. XC is a pretty good hand here. For this Tempo Mage deck, which is amusing me because I'm from the future, believe it or not, and Tempo Mage is a thing right now here in the future, and so I'm going to have great difficulty. I'd forgotten this deck. We saw it earlier in the week and I laughed the entire time while it destroyed his opponent. It was actually really, really funny, that one. Let's go find out who it was, in fact. It was so funny. You may hear me rustling through my notes. It was against Tianming, and I think the Mage won 2 games. And Tianming's face when he finally got it out, because of the last hero, when he finally got it out of the pool, was like, thank goodness that garbage has gone. But yeah, here we are. This Mage deck is Cyclones and Sea Giants and Mana Giants and Conjurer's Calling, 2 of them, Frost Novas, and so on. And the whole point of the game, which I kind of missed last time, was, you know, play Sorcerer's Apprentice when it is correct time, probably with the evocation, have a massive turn. And again, being from the future, my instincts are a little bit messy with this because a lot of the cards are different, and I don't have the instincts for the deck built into me because this deck did not exist in Grandmasters. Nobody plays this. Nobody's played it in this tournament. This is week 8. And for some reason, IG rolled up with it this week and just mowed down Xiaoming with it. He just didn't have a good day at all. I'm still giggling about it now, just thinking about it. Very hard deck to play. And XC hoping that he doesn't have to do anything crazy soon. He'll be counting Sea Giant numbers mainly at the moment. He really desperately needs some card draw. Be interesting to see if he puts a Doomsayer down going into turn 6 or going into turn 7 to try and counter the Mount Seller. That's an important thing that you do with Doomsayers, obviously. But does he do it going into this turn 6 where Yuyi may have Innovate or not? I like the not part of that. And then the next question is, do you do it going to turn 7? Yuyi kills off the Star Scryer, which does give a spell over to XC. More importantly, thins the deck out a little. Right, and with that overflow, XC now knows there's a Mount Seller, because if there isn't, then whatever. It's very hard to kill the Mount Seller through these tokens. Sorry, very hard to kill the Doomsayer through these tokens, so I think it is correct to drop the Doomsayer now. He's not getting anywhere fast, right? This is my problem with this deck. Even in the future where I'm from. But here, it takes so long if you get the wrong draw. He has had a pretty horrible draw, to be fair. Hasn't drawn any of his Mana Giant removing spells. Did I just call it a Mana Giant? Twice. Let's call it a Mana Giant. I'm not quite sure why a Mana Giant cares if you've played cards to start your deck. So for a minute there I was just having self-doubt. No Soul of the Forest, that would have been interesting. Soul of the Forest and a couple of Innovates. And he has the question of... I think he probably wants to play the Emerald Explorer here. I don't see this card coming down on its own at any point, so he might as well play it and get the Discover effect, and then probably Moonfire his opponent's face or something to make space in hand for whatever's coming next. Maybe Crystal Power Heal, but I think he wants. I think you should play the Emerald Explorer here, just because you've got 10 cards in hand. Otherwise, when are you playing it? What are you doing with it? Wow. Why? I understand the concept of dumping a card. I understand the concept of not moonfiring like I wanted to, because he wants to generate the nastiest board possible with these Mount Sellers. I don't understand what he was intending to do with this Emerald Explorer, and we're never going to get to find out because I think he now has to dump that. Because Mount Sellers are just your turns. Once these irritating Doomsayers have gone. So I'm interested to see if the Emerald Explorer gets held back again, because I want to see what it does. This time I think you innovate out Asura, actually. Innovating out Asura with Overflow in hand. You don't actually get to Overflow immediately, but you get to Mount Cellar and play a load of spells next turn. And the Mage has to deal with that, although freezing is an option at some points. And then when the Mage has dealt with that, you've got Overflow, and the Asura's already reckoned into the deck. This feels reasonable to me. You don't care about the dragon itself. I mean, it's a 4/12, that's nice and all that, but sure. And again, you care about the 0 mana spell, that's nice and all that, but sure. The only interesting thing, he's only got 10 cards in deck. No, 12 cards in deck. So the interesting thing actually is whether he even bothers with the Mount Cellars or if he just goes straight for the Overflow. Which is obviously an overdraw. But those portals are good. I guess he Mount Cellars and dumps hand here. Mount Cellar, dump hand, and then next turn Overflow. I think that's the best way to provide the Mage with a problem 2 turns in a row. XC's trying to work out if he should have played the second Doomsayer. I absolutely believe he should. But picking up the Frost Nova has made him second guess a little bit. As it happens, Yuyi could deal with a Doomsayer right now. Bog Beam's 3. Crystal Power's 2, Moonfire's 1, and his Hero Power's 1. So XC might be sitting there fretting that he didn't have a Doomsayer for this spot. But actually, it would have just been killed. So he is now on the difficult part of the game. Doesn't even bother freezing these. 24 available? 25? Any advance? I don't hear more than 25. I think Emerald Explorer time? But you want to use some of these spells up. Very nicely played by XC the more I look at this. He's unlikely to die here. And then next turn he gets full use out of his Frost Nova. I don't know if it's going to help him, but he's freezing more damage this way than he would have the other way. That being said, I'm not having large chuckles to myself like I was last time. The Druid just seems to be getting this done. And World Elite going to 9 and 7, proving me to be a bit of an exaggerator. Well, what can he get off the evocation here? Get rid of all the 0 mana spells out your hand first. As many as you can. Obviously there's double quest not allowed. And now the hard part, which is trying to read all those spells. There's definitely a flame strike there. Trying to read all those spells whilst they're covered in red gloopy special effects. I'm not the only one. I've seen players lean forward to wonder what on earth they are before. But he's actually going to... not Flame Strike. Very hard to rapidly tell what the bait is and what isn't sometimes here, but seems okay. Dump a Giant, I guess? What's the 1/4 going to do to you? Yeah, play Sea Giant while you can. I like it. XC, nice turn. He's down to 4 health. Is there a way through? Double Crystal Power, or whatever, kills both the 0/2s. There's other things, Bog Beams as well. So 1 from the 1/4, 1 from the Moonfire, 1 from the Hero Power. That's 3. Yuyi needs a point of damage from somewhere. hasn't wasted a Moonfire like I wanted him to. So if you can draw the other Moonfire, it would be lethal. He's sitting back. Is that it? Has he seen a Moonfire come? Claw is what he's seen. As long as he orders everything correctly, this is lethal. He is delighted. He's reverse swept with the Druid. And World Elite go to 9-7. You can see what it means. This is them almost certain to get into the Gold Club World Cup now. And a victory over one of the best teams in the league. Well done, Yuyi. And well done, World Elite.